in the world, the wonderful StevenBe. Hey, Steven.
Hi, everybody. I do like this so you can see my rings.
So many of you know Stephen and I had some time together in February, and boy, am I so glad we got that time together before the world went
Oh my gosh,
crazy.
it was perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
And it's just fond memories to keep living on.
I know. It's probably the last time that many of us will be traveling like that for a very long time. So I thought I would catch up with Stephen in his home in Minneapolis, and I'm going to jump the screen down because Stephen's got so much stuff he's going to show us, because you can see little me and big Stephen.
There we go.
There we go. And you're sitting there, you've got this beautiful old Victorian in Minnesota. Now tell me about some of these images that you have up behind you first, because I just think, is that Mum's sister? They're beautiful.
That one is my grandma, and my grandpa's in the background. I got to figure out how to do this backwards. There's Grandpa, and that's their farmyard in East Germany, and their prize cow. Paul and Paula Meerbach was their name, Meerbach. And the one over here, where am I? Oh, over there. That's my mom at about 17. And she might even walk over here and say hello before the end of our chat. Yeah, and I collect. So this is parlor, the central parlor. We have an outer parlor and a library and the atrium and it's a huge house.
Yeah.
And it's all filled with my clothes, jewelry, and shoes.
Yeah,
of course.
I'm feeling.
And I gave Mama one corner.
I was just going to say, I feel a game coming on.
I can't hear you now, Maree.
Oh, can't you? Can you hear me now?
What did I do?
Let's try this. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Can anyone else hear me? Good morning. Let me know if you guys can hear both of us. Can you hear both of us?
I didn't touch anything, did I?
No, I can hear you. So that tells me that everyone else can hear
you. What did I do? What did I do?
I don't know.
Should I log in?
I've got saying they can hear us both. Can you see the comments? Oh, there we go. He's going to jump back in. He'll jump back in, and we'll see if we can get everyone back again. So when he comes back in, we're going to talk about some of him and I have been having a huge catch up off here. And we've been catching up on what we've been knitting and what we've been doing, and just having a general catch up ourselves, to be honest. And we've been, there we go. He's ready to jump back in. Let's see if I can get him up and running for you. Let's try that. Hello, let's try. Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Right. So
costume change.
We're back.
I'm just Easter grass sweater. It's made from, remember that yarn? It was like fun fur.
Yeah.
But it was like Easter grass, and I've got a whole sweater out of it.
It brightens up the house.
And then here, this. My favorite thing is sequins on a string. So you can knit them with every other yarn. So the yarn doesn't have to include the sequins.
Yeah.
So it's a fine, like a sewing thread almost with strung sequins on. And many companies used to carry them. But that way I can knit it in when I want to and take it out when I want to.
Yeah. Oh, that's really clever.
So, I got to have a little glam.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If it's too woolly, I scratch when I look at it. So, it's got to be glam. But in my memories of my trip to New Zealand, where'd I go?
Arrowtown.
Arrowtown, and that lovely lady that hand spins yarn, and I bought a half a suitcase full. And so I use it on my, this is my normal size knitting needle. These are those Addi Turbo special ones. Each one has 100 Swarovski crystals embedded in the needle.
Oh, is that in the center of the needle, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
So they're pretty fabulous. They make me feel rich when I'm knitting with them. And so, but I knit really fine yarn, like this lace yarn, together with the chunky, and then I do my alternate. Oh, you know what? This would be a great, if you have to wear those face masks, the N95 face masks, you could do and hook it around your ears so you can look better.
True, because they're not attractive.
they're not attractive. So I'm thinking maybe that will be my next pattern, an N95 coverlet, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now
Now this is a
that sort of pattern, you've got something in your collection that's very like that, don't you?
yeah, Silk and Scribbles. It's that pattern. It's a shawl,
Yep.
and there's a poncho and a pancini and everything. But anyway, this is a great one if you've got yarn at home because like one skein of chunky, maybe 90 to 100 meters,
Yeah.
you can make the whole project. And then whatever fine yarns you have, string them together. And a lot of people in our workshops at Con
Yeah.
made this.
Yeah. Well, and it's what I love about it too is it's nice. It looks like it's nice and quick, and it's
Yeah, love it.
yeah,
Weekend project.
yeah,
Start it Friday night, knit over the weekend, and then when we go back to work, you can wear it to work on Monday.
absolutely.
And my weekend project.
Yeah.
If I love you, all of you that have patience for stranded Fair Isle color knitting, but I poke my eyes out.
I have to say, like, I've deliberately worn this today because I spoke about this the other day, because this is multiple stranded and it's, it uses, it's got Malabrigo raster in it. There is mohair in there that has got like lurex and glitter. There is brightly colored Brandon prints. There's all sorts in here, but it was just so satisfying to knit. It was knit on needles about the size that you held in your hand, and it was just like turbo knitting. It was fabulous.
And that cowl, the way it's draped on you, is great. I don't know if you planned it or not, but your color story with your background wall is rather fabulous.
Oh, there you go. No, well, that's just a piece.
And your gorgeous natural red hair color. Are you trying to keep up with me?
I do like the fact that we have mint tips.
Yeah, I have mint tips. Well, see, the thing is, from, I don't know, say, let's pick a year, 1979. I've always wanted to be a rock star. Unfortunately, I can't even sing happy birthday on key. If I sang happy birthday right now, you wouldn't even be able to identify the song. So I just have to look the part. And I have wardrobe and shoes and jewelry to prove it. So I just translated that into being a knitter and, off the charts and flamboyant and entertaining. And I've been doing home videos with my mom lately because she has her own fan club, Mama Krista.
Yeah, she does.
Mama, you want to get over here? Say hi.
If anyone here hasn't seen Steven's videos, you have to go over and like the StevenBe page, because these daily videos, honestly, they make my day every day. Mom is hilarious. She is so funny in her own right, and it is. They're short, they're fun, and you've got to go and check them out. I will make sure I get a link up for you.
We have fun making them, and we've got so many compliments about thanking me for brightening their day. Making them smile. The other day I read a book. I couldn't even make it through. I started crying. So they're real, they're real. And we share what behind the scenes of StevenBe.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of knitting, so you've got that what you've got on the needles at the minute, and some of the things that you love to do.
And then I got this one.
Yeah, no, tell us about that yarn. That yarn
like
and
ice cream cone. I bought it with you, Maree, when we were in California.
Yeah.
A hand spinner, so it's very thick and thin.
Yeah.
And I cast on with those big. Where's my needles? My needles are right here. I can't fit them in the frame though. There's my needles. So that's how big they are. And so I'm casting on with those, and also a legal weapon.
Yep, there you go.
So I don't know. I never figure out the frame here. And so I'm going to work on that, and a fun sweater for me. Mom's coming over, but she's got to put her outfit on. And then, look at this. I brought this out of the history. This is my Easter basket Mom made for me years ago. There it is.
Is that felted?
Yeah, it's knit and then felted, and what to do with your leftover fun fur.
Wow. We talked about knitted felt yesterday, and that's a perfect thing to do with your knitted felt. That is so much fun.
I'm not used to the framework, sorry. So that's the felt Easter basket. And I'll maybe set it up here in my mantle next to my picture. Oh, you missed the picture of me. There I am.
Oh, so cute.
At about, age 2 or 3.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and then those, I got one on each side. Where is it? No, this side. Where is it? There it is. Those are the candles I brought back from South Africa. That's a candle.
Oh, wow.
And I got one over on the other side. There it is in white. I'll get this eventually by the time we're done. There. Okay. And yeah, my house is like my collection of favorite things. So,
Yeah.
oh, where's my goblet? Here's my goblet. One of the girls in my knitting group made it for me. She crackled the glass, so she figured it was big enough for me.
Oh,
Big crackle
fantastic.
glass.
That's
So
absolutely
all my
fantastic.
favorite things. Um, and then Mom and I have been sitting at home quietly. My house, my lower level, it's either the lower level or the fourth level, or we don't call it a basement, but it's full of yarn. So we've been pricing, and it's everything from history that you could ever imagine. We call it the vintage collection, right? Looks
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah.
And we've been pricing it, and then we are making grab bags. So people have been ordering, like telling me their favorite color and their needle gauge, and I send them a big surprise basket of this and that, mostly yarns they've probably never seen before.
That sounds like so much fun. And there'll be yarns in there that probably haven't even been made, like have like companies that don't even exist anymore, I'm sure.
So it's
Wow.
very much fun. If you're a collector, add into your stash. It's a fun thing to do. And then I throw in gifts and tchotchkes and patterns and needles, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of a fun surprise, cheer me up box is what
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Now, I put the link up in the comments earlier before to your Ravelry page with all your designs. And one of
Thank you.
and one of the designs, because I love how you approach a poncho, because I think ponchos this winter are going to be, I mean, you've always been in love with the poncho and you've always had it, or the ponchini. And you use, that's what I think all these yarns are wonderful for, because you can just go crazy, can't you? You
Yep.
can just,
Yep.
yeah.
And make it an art project.
Yeah.
You know, like scrapbooking with yarn or whatever you want to call it. It's far less structured. You don't need 8 skeins of the same dye lot. It doesn't have to fit. It's just a fun piece to make, and it really brings out the fiber artist within you. I think
Yeah.
that's really what it does.
Yeah. And we've got Susie Brown, who's sitting on, she's watching at the moment. Susie's the Tiny Studio magazine editor, and she makes the most incredible art yarn, like that one you bought in Arrowtown. And I know that that's one of the things that she's, it's not just knitting or crochet, it is actually fiber art. You're taking what is already an incredible piece of yarn and making something just, you're letting the yarn tell a story. You're letting the yarn, sing, aren't you?
Oh, I wish I had brought down. Well, next time. I have one that I felted swatches, and then I stitched them together with copper wire, and then I knit in between them. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
It's really going well. With hi, Deb Moore. Deebs, how's Deebs doing? You all have to hear the story. It's like I was going down to Christchurch, and I was going to hang out with Deebs, but for the first couple hours, I was too embarrassed to ask what the hell was a Deebs. Because of course here we pronounce it Deb, and well, finally I figured out it was, Deborah Moore, and it was Deebs. We're going to Deebs, so now I know how to say Deebs.
Well, did you? Why don't you share with everybody what you did with Dibs while you were in Christchurch?
What did I do? Well, I enjoyed the trip to visit the mosque, of course, and at that time, that park that's across was all full of daffodils, which was amazing. It was interesting to drive around the city and see, even after 7 years after the earthquake, what was still there. I, of course, had never been to New Zealand until we booked the trip, and you informed me. I didn't even realize it was 2 islands. So there you go. I think I was out that day of geography class, and I just learned so much and saw so much that it was a trip of a lifetime. And I did a couple workshops at Deeb's shop, and I love the outlaw yarn, and we're now selling it here in the US in my store. And I just did a possum chini out of it, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'll be sharing that with all of you soon. What else did I do? Help me out, Deb. We did so many things.
Well, you went to, didn't she take you to an animal park?
Oh, the park, and I fed the eels, and the ducks followed me, and the parrot landed on her shoulder, and I had to see a kiwi. The thing is, here's the thing. The whole time I'm there, I wanted to see a possum, a bush-tail possum. Could I ask for just a little bit? And I either saw him dead on the road or stuffed on top of an organ. They were stuffed or dead.
I showed you some very nice taxidermy brush-tailed possums. I thought I did quite well.
It's just like, could I see a real one? I saw an actual kiwi live.
When I was actually, one of the things in terms of the brush-tailed possums is when I was with Steven on his stand at Stitches. And I was there selling outlaw yarn as well as our skeins yarns, and a number of people, not everybody knew what a possum was. And so a number of people would say, well, you know, they'd look at me strangely because a North American possum and an Australian, New Zealand brush-tail possum are two quite different. And even between the two countries, what's in Australia is also a slightly different version of what we have here in New Zealand. And as I said to everybody, I said the two main differences, or the two similarities that they have, is they both may happen to have the same name, possum, and they both often found squashed and dead on the roads.
Right. But and ours is OPP.
Yes.
It? Opossum. Yeah.
Opossum, yeah. Oh, and dead fed and the llamas. You got to see llamas.
I got to see llamas. What's else? I mean, everything was. Oh, the peacock. Remember the peacock? Yeah. My namesake. I'm moving around. Mom wants to put on her evening gown and get in the picture, but I got to help her. What else? Oh, I'm eating bonbons. Lots of truffles, chocolate. I'd share them with you if I could, but.
Well, that's all right. As I said to you before, everyone spends. Oh, where have I gone and put it? I've got my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And these cups are exclusive to you.
Exclusive, but it's funny. Every other not as quality mug manufacturer is now starting to knock them off, because when I started, I was the only one that had enough guts to say it like it was, right? And now I paved the road for everyone to be a little bit naughty.
Yeah.
This is my emergency StevenBe sanitation kit.
Oh, show us what's in there.
So, well, I didn't bring the actual bottle of it, but I made my own. So I took aloe vera and isopropyl rubbing alcohol, set 65%, then aloe vera, and then I had to put unicorn snot in, which contains glitter.
Ah.
So my hand Purell actually contains glitter, okay? And then I got my rubber gloves just in case. And then my extra Bactine cleaning spray so I can wipe things down, and hand wipes, you know, the disinfecting hand wipes, but they're scented, of course. Yeah, so I carry this little kit around and I've got it ready, and you know, everything's got to have a sequin on it.
Absolutely.
I go through life with denim, I swear. Oh, you remember these?
Oh, loved those. So we had a flamingo themed. You had this. Steven had the most fantastic flamingo theme. And should we actually tell them that how naughty we were? Should we tell them about what we did?
How naughty were we?
Well, about what we did. Was it with Home Depot? Was it Home Depot or whatever with the big flamingos?
Oh, yeah. I bought the big flamingos for the booth, and then we figured out we couldn't fit them in the suitcase going home, so we went to the store and returned them.
Yeah.
Oops. Don't tell my secret. They knew what I was doing.
I know, and bless them, you know, they were so good. we had so much fun. So much fun. How's Mama getting on?
Then you and I went to Los Angeles and met Thomas.
We did. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
So he actually might even be jumping on and watching, because I told him this was going on. So Thomas is a friend of mine. In fact, I was an exchange student. A lot of people don't know I was an exchange student to the US in the late 80s. And I went to a wee place called Fairborn, Ohio, which is just north of Dayton. And Fairborn is famous. Yeah, and so that area is famous for two things, primarily. One is it's actually the home of the Wright brothers. So that's where the Wright brothers are originally from. So being a New Zealander in Dayton is quite difficult, because New Zealand and the US have this contentious issue, because, of course, we believe we were the first to fly. So that was... Yeah, exactly. So that can be a little bit tricky. And then it's also famous for a very, very large Air Force base called Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And Fairborn was the town pretty much almost engulfed around two sides by this very large Air Force base.
And you rebel teenagers terrorized it.
Yeah, well, no, I was actually quite well behaved. I liked Thomas was more of the rebel of our group, but he's Norwegian, but he now lives in Los Angeles, and so I dragged Stephen along to it was nice for me to catch up with my friend who I hadn't seen for over 30 years. And Stephen got dragged along for the ride, and we had a wonderful time and evening in Santa Monica, and had fun there. And then we went the next day, and actually it was really special because Thomas took us to, because a lot of people think, oh, Los Angeles, and there's lots of sort of traps that they think about in terms of like the
movie star buses,
that kind of stuff. And we didn't do that, did we? Thomas took
us to all these hidden gems.
Yeah, it was amazing. He took us to like what I would call a locals Los Angeles, and it was incredible. We went to that beautiful cemetery which had Marilyn Monroe, where she was buried. Truman Capote was there. Who else? Oh, Jackie Collins. Who else was in that cemetery? There were quite a few, but it was a tiny little cemetery right in the center of the city. And then we went to the most beautiful public mansion that is open to the public with the most stunning garden.
Like Greystone or something like that.
Yeah, and that was incredible. And then
the walk gardens between the bungalows.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are aware of Venice Beach. Then there are also the Venice canals, which are sort of set back from that. We went to there, but also sort of adjacent to that area is these incredible homes, aren't they? On these walkways, and there are these paths where these homes. It's almost like going through the secret garden or something, isn't it? It was.
Like a private secret passageway.
Yeah,
we had a blast. I got to have a bromance with Thomas. It was like we knew each other forever.
Yeah, no, it was loads and loads of fun. It was loads
for that. We didn't get any knitting done because we had just finished the Midwest or the West Santa Clara yarn show.
Yeah,
and we had spent 4 days on our feet teaching, showing, selling. So it was a nice break from the yarn.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things I'd love for you to talk about is one of the things we've been talking about here is how knitting is keeping people sane and how actually important having something, whether it be knitting or crochet or craft or whatever it is, to actually help with your mental health getting through. And you tell in your classes this really incredible story about how Mama Krista came to the US. Do you want to share that with everybody?
So one of my favorite stories is the therapeutic nature of knitting, and it kind of stays with you throughout your life. Here in the States, you'll find a lot of people that maybe learned to knit as a child, but in the 70s and 80s, it lapsed away. And they've come back to it since maybe 2005, something like that. And of course, now during this situation, but I always tell the story how when Mama Krista escaped from East Germany in, I don't remember the year, after the Second World War, before it was divvied up between the English, the Russians, the Germans, and the British, and the French, that her parents hired the underground to smuggle her across, and they went by night through the fields and then hid in the ditches at day. And she had this shoes around her neck to wear to work the next day, and her knitting stuffed in her bra, so her knitting was always closest to her heart. And it's just kind of symbolic of, I think, how knitting is for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And especially during this time, it's kind of that salvation, the distraction.
Yeah.
For me, my arthritis, my mom blames it on the rings. I don't know. My arthritis is kind of intense. So, I do 20 minutes at a time. And so people tell me they can't knit anymore because of whatever, or they don't have time. That's a bunch of BS, because 20 minutes at night is a great time to knit. It's not like you have to be a full-time knitter and crank out sweaters.
Yeah.
To do it for therapeutic reasons. I don't think any one of us needs another garment. My closets are full. Goodwill is waiting for me. But I think it's the process and the satisfaction of completing something, or at least working on something. And who do you get more compliments from than another knitter?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's comparing stitches and yarn and patterns and who designed it and what yarn and what trip you got it on. It's all about the story. And that's what my knitting's about. It's about the story.
And and I also love the fact that you're able to tell stories with the yarn. I mean, I love the fact that you can pick up an incredible yarn, and I've seen you do it, and you'll just pick it up and you'll just play around. And sometimes the journey will take you off in one direction, which you think is the direction you're going in, and then all of a sudden it will send you in another direction, and then before you know it, you've actually got this incredible different item there, you know. And I think that that's
right. I'm working on this wonderful kind of medieval cowl, hooded cowl right now, and it started out as a peplum of a sweater, but anyway, because I don't have any intention, you know. It's just I knit for art, fashion, and peace of mind. I like seeing what's going on in the fashion world, and sometimes there's a huge abyss there, fashion versus knitters, because right now knitting is more classic, and the Fair Isle stranded sweaters are beautiful, and if someone wants to knit me one, I'd wear it, but it's just not my cup of tea to work on. I'm not that mechanically inclined, technically inclined. I like the freedom of doing whatever, and whatever yarn and needles comes my way. So it's very much of a creative, spontaneous process for me. I couldn't follow a path if I tried.
One of the things I really love with your classes too, when talking about that, is that I know one of the techniques that you actually use is that you will play around with the shape of something. You will take an old scrap or an old t-shirt or a piece of cloth, which I thought was a rag when I went to set your class.
Yeah, like, staff does too. Why do you keep packing this rag?
What's this stinky, messy old makeup covered rag doing in here? And then I realized what it was for. And
my pattern.
Exactly. And that was just it. I mean, you're encouraging people to work to a shape, you know, you're creating shape and drape and drama, and that I think is also really exciting. It's freeing people from the paradigm of a pattern, that a pattern isn't necessarily the be all and end all.
Pattern is only a guideline.
Exactly. And there's no such thing as mistakes. It's only
wait, I brought it.
Brought it?
I brought it. I don't know what I did with it now. Oh shoot. I brought my pink unicorn notebook that everybody wrote in.
Woohoo!
We put their number, Deb. Everybody put their address in. And I've been working a little bit, not too much, on my knitting project you guys sent home with me. I have to finish it. I have to make it not look ugly. Okay? That's my job. I don't know where my little sign went. I had all my stuff here. Anyway, I don't know. I got too much stuff. My sign says, you know, we don't make mistakes, only variations. So yes, that's my tagline. I adopted it years ago, probably 15 years ago, and it stuck with me. Also, you know, I say when I autograph books, let's glitter it up, because to me, glitter is not just literally sequins and sparkle. Glitter is anything that takes it away from what was expected. So my favorite story is the lady that she was making a gray sweater and she ran out of yarn, came back to the shop and said, I need 2 more skeins of yarn to finish the sweater. I'm like, honey, that was 2 years ago. Your dialect will never match. Why are you bothering with trying to match the yarn? So she had about, I don't know, this much left to knit down on her sleeve. Not just off, but like, you know, a good portion, a third of the sleeve. So I gave her, you know, a skein of hot pink for one side and a skein of turquoise blue for the other. And then she finished the sweater in those 2 colors, and she said it was the best thing that ever happened. And people ask her what the pattern was, and she calls it, I don't know, it's the I ran out of yarn sweater. There you go.
There you go. Ta-da! Exactly the same thing. And it wasn't me.
And so those kind of things are never an issue. They're an opportunity for me. And it just kind of taxes you to think farther beyond the obvious, and definitely beyond the written word. And I swear, most of the time, I mean, I've seen a few uglies in my day, but most of the time, it comes out better than it was intended. That's what I mean by glitter when I say glitter it up.
And I love too, you've got a I think it is a version of a Poncini that you did, and it's grey, but you've actually gone and included, and let's talk a little bit about, it doesn't need to be yarn to be knitted, because you are famous for knitting things that are not naturally designed or intended to be knitted. Go through something.
Let no continuous strand remain unknit. There's a motto.
So
this happened a while ago, because I mean, I was in. My mother opened her first yarn shop in 1971, Krista's Yarn Shop. The first name was called Yarn Paradise. That was her first shop. 71, and started in the basement of our home. And as it grew and she moved to, public locations, I was in the knitting business. I would come home after school and wind yarn. And the yarn shop was always a safe place for me. It was the place where people loved me, and the precocious young man that knit and crocheted and needle pointed and whatever. And so it was always a safe place for me. And I continued that all through my life, my career, and even corporately when I was VP of a clothing company, I was in charge of the sweaters all the time. So the sweaters have always been, knitting has always been my safety zone and my comfort zone.
And I love the fact too that you also, from a very, very early age, started knitting things, like you did your own decorating. I mean, you didn't see that as a barrier. It wasn't just garments. I mean, tell us about the curtains. I was fascinated about these curtains.
Well, the curtains were actually, my mom indulged me. So I got bedspread and window curtains. And at that time, let's picture this, 74 to 76, somewhere in there. And it was a deep purple color, and it was fake fur, which is about that long of fur. So I would brush the bedspread and the curtains every day before I went to school, so that the fur was all going the same direction. So I took Aunt Lydia's rug yarn and crocheted the carpet for my bedroom to match my drapes. I crocheted the entire carpeting on a like an L. I don't know what your sizes are, the hooks, but anyway, a large hook. And in the 70s, crochet was pretty popular. And then I got a hold of macrame. Oh, Lord, watch out. I made every macrame thing you could think of. And then I had some wealthy patrons that commissioned work from me. And everything I earned, my mother matched the dollar amount. And it helped pay for my college when I went to fashion school in 79.
Well, and then I was just going to say, we call it macrame here, but macrame, it's back. It's back big time. Have you actually thought about, getting knotted again?
I dug out. I still have all the stuff I used to use, and I had a little jewelry business in school. So the librarian let me have a table during lunchtime and after school, and I'd set up my jewelry business in the library and take orders. I made necklaces, earrings, and bracelets.
See, always the entrepreneur, which are the creative, creative entrepreneur. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Well, Steven, it has been an utter joy to have you here today. Is Mama around, or is she's? I'm
gonna go see if Mama's around.
Let's go see if she's around, because she is
going through the house here. Thank you all for listening to us. That was fun. Oh, here Mama's getting ready she's putting her ball gown on. She hasn't quite got it on yet. But here we are. Where are you, Mom? There she is.
There she is. Hi, Mama Krista. Look at her looking fabulous.
What's her pillow say today? You are, it's backwards. You are magical.
Excellent.
There we go. So, and then of course it's sequins on the other side.
Well, of course it is.
And there we are, Mom and Steven. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you, everyone, for listening. And I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to catch you up with my Rambler process. Steven and I have had such a great time. It's been fantastic. So you make sure you tune back in tomorrow. I'll be here at 11 o'clock at the Quarantine Diaries. I'll also make sure I put a link in for Steven's Facebook channel as well as his store. Do go and check it out. Do check out their daily videos. Honestly, he'll bring a little bit of glitter to your day. Until then, I'm
first on Instagram, so that's the hot spot.
There we go. StevenBe Designs, StevenBe Studios on Instagram. We'll get that up as well. So thank you very much.
Love you all. Until I visit you again.
Take care. See you all again tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.